Of course, Larian Studios releases a Larian Gazette article just 12 hours after I released my Baldur's Gate 3 news video. So yeah, it's time for some more Baldur's Gate 3 news, as this article did reveal a few new things. And also, actually, two of the most recent videos that I did on BG3, we talked about a few things, guessed a little bit and speculated a little bit, and this article does expand or update us on a few of those topics as well. Now, I do still plan on doing, actually, I know I'll be doing a deep dive into the most recent trailer, and that should be out tomorrow or the next day, so be on the lookout for that. Let's jump right in to this article. Now, I know most of you are capable of reading through this article on your own, and I will leave a link below in the video description for those that don't want to hang out, but I do plan on stopping to talk about things as we read about them, and also giving examples when possible. So right here we have the Larian Gazette, issue 24, a message in a bottle would have taken too long. Our goggles are on and our posture is aerodynamic, like a gnome hurled through the air by a barbarian with a mean overhead throw. Baldur's Gate 3 is rapidly hurtling toward launch. So launch is still August 31st. We did not get any change on that date or no delay as of now, so I don't think there actually is going to be a delay. Then we have a little bit of gameplay here. The first gameplay that we got to see of a character walking in the city itself, which was part of the recent trailer. This weekend, we unveiled the city of Baldur's Gate for the very first time, with a glimpse behind its walls and around its familiar labyrinthine streets. It's been about 20 years since we last had a pint in the Elf Song Tavern or crawled through the sewers beneath the city streets, and as you might have spotted during the PC gaming show, many of these locations are back and many new ones are waiting to be discovered for the first time. Now, it's actually been 25 years, or coming up on 25 years, for those of you guys that played Baldur's Gate 1 back in 1998. Pretty crazy to think about how much time has passed, and it's also pretty crazy to be returning to the city of Baldur's Gate in 2023. Now, the news right there is a confirmation on the Elf Song Tavern, and also a confirmation that we will be visiting the sewers beneath the city streets. In the most recent trailer, I was able to spot a mug tavern sign, and in Baldur's Gate 1, the Elf Song Tavern has a sign with a mug on it, so perhaps this is the Elf Song Tavern, but I will dive deeper into that in my deep dive video. Now, I should also bring up that the Elf Song Tavern is known in some lore to have a stuffed baby beholder hanging in the dining area, and although what Larian is showing us right here seems to be a spectator, it still just feels like too much of a coincidence for this to not be the Elf Song Tavern. Now, as for the sewers below the city streets, there was that one scene in the Gortash trailer where we kind of have no idea where it takes place, and I'd say it's possible that this could be underneath the city of Baldur's Gate. Back to the article, giving you a chance to explore the menacing roads of the outer city, the opulent estates of the upper city, and the dark alleys and pubs of the lower city. So outer city, confirmed. Upper city, confirmed. And lower city, of course, confirmed, but we already kind of knew that from their recent trailers. Now, we did get to see a few shots of the outer city in the recent trailer, but I think it's highly unlikely that the outer city in its entirety would be playable, as it's made up of 10 different districts if you include the bridge, Worms Crossing Bridge, and also the Blackgate district to the north of the city. But you can see that Larian put a lot of detail into everything that the eye can see from these shots, and I'm assuming the area that we do get to explore in the outer city is going to be quite expansive. But the Baldur's Gate that we've built is a lot more than faithful geography. As a modern adaptation of an iconic fantasy setting, this city couldn't be a mere backdrop. It needed to feel more like a complex organism, alive, changeable, and interconnected. Your journey and your story has been heading in this direction since the start of the game, and you finally arrived. Now, this makes me feel like the city itself is going to be part of Act 3 in the game, possibly also Act 2, because we really don't know what Larian is going to do. Maybe, unlike in DOS 2, maybe we can go to a place and then return to that place in a later act. I'm not entirely sure. Do note that they use the word interconnected here, and there's going to be more on that here shortly in the article. And then we have this section, Welcome to Baldur's Gate, with this absolutely beautiful shot of the city. This is coming from a northwest camera perspective, and you can see Ramesses Tower and the upper city right there. Though your journey hasn't been easy, you arrive at the city preparing for war. And even as someone who has a ton of hours logged into early access, it's still really hard to predict what's going to go on in the story of Baldur's Gate 3. As the Steel Watch patrols Baldur's Gate's labyrinthian streets, and the Steel Watch are those automatons that you see walking around, the printing press prepares for the daily news cycle. And if I bring up the map of Baldur's Gate and Descent into Avernus, you guys can actually see Baldur's Mouth is right here, and that is the printing press of the city. There are factions within the city vying for control, all disagreeing on what to make of outside threats, and new faces within the city walls. Opportunity in times of struggle is rife. What you make of it and what it makes of you will be determined by your choices up to the city walls and beyond their shadow. We've built a truly next-gen fantasy city and upped the stakes. Our latest trailer gives you a sense of that scale, showing rolling vistas of grand buildings that recede into the horizon, boisterous docks with harbors thick with ships, and lively town centers populated with over 1,000 individual characters. You can explore all of it. 1,000 individual characters is a ginormous number when you think of Larian Studios and the way that they handle their content on like a per asset basis. In early access, so far in Act 1, every single NPC that you interact with is like its own cutscene with voice acting, really good animation, and a lot of content behind almost every character that you talk to. So this is just kind of crazy to think about. I don't know how far Larian will take every character in the city with over 1,000 of them, but I would expect quality on a higher basis than we've probably ever really experienced before, especially in a CRPG. On cobbled streets, bustling crowds go about their day, each one with a story to unravel, a secret to uncover, or a personal reaction to be stirred. Peer further down those steep hills and you might spot a distant bell tower that you can climb for a panoramic view of the city. Make a wrong turn to the visiting circus and explore your deep-seated clown phobia. So, circus, there was a circus in Baldur's Gate 1, so it's pretty cool to see that. Or you could case the local inn, where sinister rumors lurk in secret back rooms. In short, Baldur's Gate is your oyster. It is your own vast, complex organism inside of a game already filled with opportunities for exploration. What your role is within is entirely up to you. I know we have to contain our hype, but damn it, Larian, the language that they're using here and everything we've experienced so far in early access, my hype meters are going to explode right now. And I know I got to calm it down, and I promise that I will, but just let me be happy right now, okay? Because this is pretty crazy. If I scroll down here, we have some more news, but a little bit more revealing. This is a pretty interesting part. Our scope for the city is big, but it's also grown substantially over the past year. From the very beginning, we envisioned a Baldur's Gate that players could navigate however they chose, whether that's flying to the hidden rooftop nest of Gal's pet Tressum, burrowing into a locked prison cell as a giant badger, or slipping into the counting house, which is like the city's mob-run bank, kind of, in the form of a little cloud, not technically considered breaking and entering as per Faerunian property law. So right now you're already seeing hints of the things that you're going to be able to do in the agency that you'll have as your own character, and all of your choices along the way are going to provide you more options especially when you're in the city here. So if you're a druid, take advantage of those wild shapes and you can do some things that other characters might not be able to do, such as escaping a prison cell by burrowing out of it as a badger. Or if you're a caster and you have access to the spell that allows you to turn into gas, go ahead and try that in certain situations. You may find yourself venturing into areas that other characters might not be able to get into. But in our original prototype, the city was actually much more compartmentalized. Tough word. Compartmentalized. A series of small contained regions connected by teleporters. And so it remained until midway into developing the city when we decided to make some major changes. Sven said, can't we just connect everything? Reminisces world-building director Farhang Namdar, and that was an interesting day. Love it. You got the CEO and creative director really pushing to make the game the best that he possibly can versus trying to put out, a cheap, quick money grab type product. I love it. I love Larian Studios, and hopefully we have them around for a very long time in the future. Now, what's come out of that decision is something we're very proud of. The districts of Baldur's Gate are now 3 seamless open worlds. No matter whether you're investigating underground crypts, climbing the stairs of a towering citadel, or descending into hidden cellars, open-ended exploration reigns supreme. No longer are they broken up into much smaller chunks. This, though ambitious, means that we were finally able to achieve that grand sense of hustle and bustle, where all the stories within the city were truly interconnected. There's plenty to discover and to be distracted by, and nothing is off limits. We wanted every house to have real characters who had stories and who could offer quests with secrets to uncover. So the big news of this particular Gazette, and thank you to all of you guys that have made it to this far into the video, you guys deserve the news, is that we have 3 seamless open worlds that make up the city of Baldur's Gate. And naturally, if I had to guess, that would probably be the outer city being its own instance, including Worms Crossing Bridge, the lower city, of course, which we got to see a lot of in the recent trailer, and then the upper city would also be its own little open world, although I'm not entirely sure. Maybe some of these areas overlap with each other, but either way, this is just great, and I'm perfectly fine with that. And the level of detail that Larian usually puts into their instances is usually phenomenal. So this is going to be really cool. And you guys remember, like, even like 6 months ago, a couple years ago, and even 3 years ago, a lot of us were wondering, like, how much of the city are we even going to see? Maybe it's just one little district, or when we get to the city, are we not even going to be able to explore the city because it might be destroyed? Because that first reveal trailer that they put out in 2019 made us question if there's even going to be a city. And a lot of our questions have been answered now. And I don't know about you guys, but this is exceeding my expectations, at least from what we're being told. Now, the next section of the Gazette goes over Jason Isaacs and the Gortash trailer. We already talked about this in a previous video. I do want to just point one thing out right here. It says Duke Ravengard has disappeared, and in his wake, a power vacuum has emerged, leaving an opportunity for ambitious factions and individuals to seize control and shape the fate of the city. And the funny thing is, in the Gortash trailer, the first time that I watched it, the soldier that's swearing in Gortash in the beginning, I assumed that that wasn't Ravengard because I thought Ravengard was missing. I didn't really think about the timeline of events. And then I started to think, well, it matches Ravengard's description almost to a T. So maybe it has to be him. But now I'm starting to question that again because they're just saying that Ravengard has disappeared. And then why would they show him in one of their trailers if they're also saying that he disappeared? It kind of seems weird to mix up the timeline of events in your marketing like that. So more questions to think about. And then all the way down here, we have a quote from Jason Isaacs, talked about that in one of my recent videos. We have the road ahead section. And at first they talk about the animated video that they just released, which was hilarious and really well done. I'll leave a link below in the description. If you haven't missed it, make sure to go watch it. But I do want to read a few things here. And right here it says, Baldur's Gate 3 is much, much bigger than we had envisioned when we started this journey roughly 5 years ago. Looking at what's in Act 1 Early Access right now, it's fair to say that you've really only seen a glimmer of the full experience to come. In July, you'll begin to get a much more complete look at not just how far Baldur's Gate 3 has come, but where it's been heading all these years in development. We know you're really eager to hear about all the playable races and classes in the game. It's coming, and we do know that we have a panel from Hell coming up on July 7th. So I'm assuming that they're going to start revealing, you know, some of the stuff that we're not like 100% sure about yet. But like we think we're sure about it because in the FAQs they mentioned, I don't know, just get ready for a lot of information to come in the next month. Then we have a picture of a Hollyphant right here. I'm wondering if that's Lulu from Descent into Avernus. Either way, really cool to include that creature into Baldur's Gate. And then the last part says spoilers. We also understand that many of you are cautious about spoilers, and we don't intend to spoil anything between now and launch as we release some new exciting video assets and information into the wild. We'll try and give you a heads up about the nature of something before you see it, so you can make an informed decision as to whether it's something you'd like to learn about or wait to experience yourself at launch. I'll make sure to give you guys a warning ahead of time before I talk about certain subjects on the channel as well. With regards to any other platforms Baldur's Gate 3 release on, our plan is to release the game in order of platform readiness. Once we're sure about dates, we'll let you know. You can rest assured we'll try to make BG3 run on every platform we can, but it's a gigantic, truly next-generation RPG with split-screen multiplayer and incredible breadth and density. We don't want to compromise. So no Xbox news yet, which I was hoping for this weekend because of the Xbox showcase, but it didn't happen. So we're still waiting to figure out what's going to happen with Xbox. Larian was having some problems with the Series S, like many developers seem to have. Halo, for example, the iconic split screen game, wasn't able to launch on Xbox with split screen because of the Series S. And I know Larian Studios is also having problems with something similar. We're gonna have to wait and see. Maybe Xbox will be on August 31st. We don't know yet. Maybe it'll be at a later date. Maybe it won't happen at all. Not entirely sure. With that said, onward to Baldur's Gate. We'll see you in another community update in the not too distant future. We're nearly there. Yes, we are. I think 80 or less than 80 days at this point. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been covering this game for over 3.5 years now, and many of you guys have been with me for almost that entire journey. So I really, really do appreciate you guys. Be on the lookout for a deep, deep dive into the recent trailer. Thinking on Wednesday, because I don't know if I can get it done today. It's starting to get pretty late into the day, but I'm going to try, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.